All right, welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today we're looking at something that I think we all kind of intrinsically know,
Okay.
which is like, it's good to be helpful to others, right? Like that's kind of
Yeah.
like a basic,
A basic tenet of
yeah, like a basic human, like, morality and just being
a good person.
a good person. Yeah.
Yeah,
But what we found in the research is that it goes so far beyond.
it really does.
It's not just like a be a good person thing. It's actually like a smart,
strategy.
smart strategy for your own life
Yeah,
to be a more helpful person.
exactly. And I think that's what's so fascinating about, diving into this research is that it's not just this sort of, moral imperative, which it is.
Right.
It is a good thing to do, but it actually has these like self-serving
Yeah.
benefits that are fascinating.
Yeah. And so we're going to get into all those benefits and kind of like really unpack why that is.
Yeah.
But let's start with the kind of the most obvious one, which is relationships.
Right.
Like, if you're helpful to someone, it's pretty clear that that's going to,
Improve your relationship.
yeah, make the relationship
Brings
strong.
you closer. Yeah.
Yeah. So why is that?
Well, I think that when you are helpful to someone, you're really demonstrating, a couple of things.
Yep.
You're demonstrating that you care about their well-being,
Okay.
that you're willing to invest in them in the relationship,
Yeah.
and that you're someone that they can rely on.
Oh, that's huge, that reliability thing.
It is huge, and it builds trust,
Yeah.
which is the bedrock of all good relationships.
Yeah, because who wants to be in a relationship with somebody who you, can't
You can't count on.
count on?
Right. If you're always wondering whether or not they're going to show up for you,
Yeah,
if they're going to do what they say they're going to do, that's going to, erode the relationship over time.
totally. And like I would even say it's not even just like romantic relationships or even just like friend relationships. I think, I've definitely seen this in like work environments.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the people who are the most helpful are the people who kind of like rise, you
Yeah.
know. They
They have the best reputation.
they have the best reputation.
And
Exactly.
because of that, people want to work with them.
Yeah.
People want to be on their team, and people are more likely to kind of help them in return.
It's so interesting because I
Yeah.
guess I never really thought about it like consciously before reading this research.
Yeah.
But it's so true what you just said about like you want to be on the team with that person.
Right.
Because they're going to have your back.
They're going to be there for you. And,
Yeah.
in a work environment that is so, stressful, it's
Yeah.
so fast-paced these days,
Absolutely.
that having that kind of, that kind of ally is invaluable.
Yeah. And it makes me think about that whole idea of like building a good reputation,
Absolutely.
which is something that the sources also talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so how does like helpfulness tie into that? Like building a good reputation?
Well, when you're consistently helpful,
Yeah.
people notice, right?
They do.
People talk.
They talk.
You get a reputation as someone who is reliable,
Okay.
who is trustworthy, who has integrity.
So it's not just about like, I feel like sometimes people think about networking as like I got to get my name out there.
Right, exactly.
I got
And
to
it's very transactional.
yeah, transactional, but this is like
This is about genuinely being helpful
being a good.
and building that reputation because of your actions,
Yeah.
not because you're, kind of scheming and trying to
Right.
get your name out there.
Yeah.
It's about your actions speaking louder than words.
I love that. Yeah.
And that leads to, just a much more, I think, authentic and genuine reputation,
Totally.
which will serve you well in the long run.
Yeah, no, it makes me think about like, I think there is a lot of emphasis these days on like personal branding and that kind of thing, but it's like the best personal brand is just to like be a good person.
I agree.
And
Be helpful.
Be helpful and it will like speak for itself.
Yeah, it will speak for itself.
Yeah, and this is where I think the research gets really fascinating
Okay.
because they start talking about something called like the ripple effect.
Yes.
And the idea that, when you're helpful, it's not just affecting that one person.
Right.
And it's not even just affecting you. It's like it creates this
So
whole
the reaction.
yeah, this chain reaction
your
of
goodness.
of kindness and goodness.
Mhm.
So how does that work?
Well, let's use a very simple example.
Okay.
Let's say, you are working on a team
Yeah.
and a colleague of yours is really struggling with something. You step in, you help them out.
Right.
You don't have to do it. You're not, required to do it,
Right.
but you just do it out of the goodness of your heart.
Yeah.
And because you're a helpful person,
Right.
now that person
Good.
feels good
Yeah.
and feels grateful to you and is therefore, in turn, more likely to be helpful to someone else down the line.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And that person feels good and they're more likely to be helpful.
Right.
And so it creates this sort of this chain reaction, this ripple effect.
It's like planting a seed
It is,
that
exactly.
just like keeps growing and
Where
growing.
it's spreading
Yeah.
those good vibes, right?
And so you're part of that, right?
We're part of it.
The initial.
We started it.
Yeah.
You're the pebble in the pond
That's a really good analogy.
that creates those ripples.
Yeah.
And the more pebbles we all throw in the pond,
Yeah.
the more ripples we create,
Yeah.
and the more kind of kindness and positivity we spread around.
It really does make you feel good to think about it that way.
It does.
You know?
Yeah. It's contagious.
Yeah, it's contagious, like
In a good way.
in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah, I like that. It's contagious in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's be honest. Sometimes being helpful
Yes.
is a little bit of a drag.
It can be.
You know, it's like, I don't know about you, but like, I've definitely had those times where it's like, oh man.
I don't really want to do this.
Yeah, I'm tired or I'm busy or I've got, a lot going on.
Right. Right.
But then I read this part about the helper's high.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, that is so fascinating.
It is. It is.
So basically, like, our brains reward us
Yes.
for being helpful.
They do. There's a physiological response to being helpful.
So how does that work? Like, what happens in our brains?
Well, a lot of research has been done on this, and what they found is that when we engage in helpful behavior,
Okay.
our brains release endorphins.
Okay.
Now, endorphins are those lovely little chemicals that make us feel good.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So they have mood-boosting effects,
Okay.
pain-reducing effects,
Wow.
and it's very similar to the kind of high you get from exercise.
Oh, wow.
Or from, certain other...
Like a runner's high?
A runner's high, exactly.
Okay.
So it's like almost like our bodies are designed to encourage us to be kind.
So it's like nature's way of, like,
Yeah.
encouraging us to promote pro-social behavior.
Promoting pro-social behavior, exactly.
All right, that's so
And
fascinating.
it goes beyond just that, the immediate high.
Okay.
There's also research that shows that people who regularly engage in helpful behaviors tend to have lower levels of stress. They report higher levels of happiness, greater life satisfaction.
So it's like a drug.
It is. It's a natural mood booster.
But the good kind.
It's the good kind, exactly.
It's like the good addiction to have, right?
It's a healthy addiction.
It's a healthy addiction.
Yeah.
All right, this next part I think is really interesting.
Okay.
And a little bit more nuanced.
Okay.
Our sources talk about how helping others can actually broaden your perspective and increase empathy.
Yeah.
So unpack that for me a little bit.
Well, I think, so often we get stuck in our own little bubbles, right? Our
Right.
own little worlds.
Our own routines, our own little, yeah.
Our own little routines, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to kind of get myopic and just focus on our own problems in our own lives.
Yeah.
When you step outside of that
Yeah.
and you help someone else, particularly if it's someone outside of your usual circle,
Okay.
not just your family or your close friends,
Right.
but someone who you maybe don't know as well. You're forced to kind of walk in their shoes for a little bit,
Right.
see the world from their perspective,
Understand their challenges.
understand their challenges, exactly.
Yeah.
And that can be a really eye-opening experience.
So it's not even just about lending a hand. It's like about opening your mind.
It is. It's about opening your mind and your heart
Yeah.
to new experiences and new perspectives.
And new people.
And new people.
And new like ways of being in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that, I think, helps to develop our empathy,
Yeah.
our understanding, our
Sure.
compassion, all of those things that make us, better humans, I think.
Yeah.
And also, I think, practically speaking,
Yeah.
it gives us more tools to navigate, the complexities of life.
Right.
To understand different viewpoints, to make better decisions, to
Right.
be more effective in our interactions with others. So
Yeah.
it has all these sort of ripple effects, no pun intended,
I love it.
that extend far beyond just the initial act of helping.
It makes me also think about conflict resolution.
Absolutely.
Like if you have that better understanding of where somebody's coming from, you're just like so much better equipped.
Yeah, to see their side of things.
Yeah, and to
That's-
find common ground.
And yeah, exactly, find common ground.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next one I have to admit.
Oh.
When I first read it, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way,
Okay.
which is like building a safety net.
Oh,
It
yeah.
felt a little transactional.
Oh,
Like, oh, I'm going to help you because I want you to help me.
right.
But that's not really what the research is saying.
No, it's not.
It's not like a quid pro quo. It's more.
It's more about, I think, the natural tendency towards
Yeah.
reciprocity that exists in human relationships.
Okay.
When we've experienced kindness,
Yeah.
when we've experienced support, we naturally
Want to give back.
want to get back. Yeah. Okay, so it's not like you're doing it
Like that expectation.
with that expectation.
Yeah.
It's just that, like,
Like a natural consequence.
it's a natural. Okay.
Of building those strong relationships.
It makes me think of the saying, what goes around comes around,
Mhm.
but like in a good way.
Exactly.
Like it's not about like karma or anything like that. It's more like,
You're creating this positive cycle.
yeah, this positive cycle.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk about personal growth,
Okay.
which, I don't think I would have necessarily like connected
Yeah.
helpfulness and personal growth before reading this research.
And an immediate connection.
It's not an immediate connection, but the more I think about it,
Yeah.
the more I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense.
So tell me how that works.
Well, think about all the times that you've helped someone
Okay.
and you've had to kind of stretch yourself a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Maybe you had to learn a new skill
Okay.
or solve a problem.
Right.
Or be more patient.
Oh, patience. Yeah.
You normally are.
That's a big one,
Yeah, right.
especially with like certain people.
Especially with certain people, yeah.
Yeah.
So all of those experiences
Right.
are opportunities for growth.
Right.
You're being challenged
Yeah.
to be a better version of yourself.
Okay. So it's like a training ground
It is.
for personal development.
I love that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a training ground for personal development.
And I guess like the more you do that, the more you train,
Exactly. You get stronger.
you get stronger.
Yeah.
And you build those like muscles.
Those muscles of resilience
Yeah.
and problem
and
solving,
patience.
patience,
Yeah.
adaptability,
Yeah.
leadership, all of those things.
So to kind of wrap this all up,
Yeah.
we started out by saying it's like, be a good person, be helpful, but it's so much more than that.
It really is.
It's like it's this smart strategy
It's a strategy
Yeah.
for a better life.
for a better life.
Yeah.
It strengthens your relationships.
Absolutely.
It builds trust.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you actually feel better.
Yes.
It broadens your perspective. It helps you grow as a person.
Yeah.
And it makes the world a better place.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. What else could you ask for?
I know it's amazing, and I think the biggest takeaway for me
Yeah.
is that it doesn't have to be these grand gestures.
Right.
It really is the small things,
Yeah.
the everyday acts of kindness.
Totally.
That can make a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as you go about your day to day, I would encourage you
Yeah.
to think about what is one small thing,
Right.
one small, genuine, authentic
Right.
act of kindness
Yeah.
that I can do
Yeah.
that might have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
That might make someone else's day a little bit brighter.
Totally. And in turn, make the world a slightly better place.
I love that it's such a simple idea,
It is a simple idea,
but so powerful.
but so powerful.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive.
All right.
Hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.